Hello, it is me, Erica Gregg, and I am here with another Epic Women podcast. And I am so excited today to have a conversation about getting promoted, a special Epic Women's podcast. I want to have a conversation about women in tech who are keen to move forward, but maybe aren't necessarily negotiating their salary every year. They don't know that they can negotiate their salary. We have so many different questions around moving forward in our careers that I've been hearing, and today I wanted to talk about the 8 most common questions that I get around career advancement. So when ladies are in the process of gaining their next promotion, after gaining their promotion, and then through the process, how does that look like? How can we master and maximize this process? How can we ensure that we are taking ownership and have clarity in our needs and our wants at work? And how do we move forward in a structured approach so we aren't kind of at the whims or the mercies of the managers that we're working with that might not be totally invested in our success? How can we put our own success first in the organization that we're working at? So let's kick it off with the most common questions that I get from ladies keen to get their promotion. What is the best way to ask for a raise? So I know that asking for a raise can be really nerve-wracking. It can feel like you have no idea how to structure your conversation. And so any conversation that you want to have with your company, you want it to be strategic. So you want to have a plan for the negotiation of asking for and requesting your raise. So really, the best way to ask for a raise is to do it strategically with a plan and hard facts about your results, and then submit your raise. That's the best way to ask for a raise. I mean, now this is absolutely debatable. Everybody can have their own approach to how they request a raise, how they request a promotion, and what works best within their company. But the best way to ask for a raise is to do it, but strategically. That's what I would say. And in terms of preparing your boss or your HR manager for the request, you can definitely be having conversations around how you can make the most at your role currently and what you can do to expand your opportunity. At your role currently. So start that conversation. Yes, asking one question is a great way to start the conversation. So start the conversation. Question 2, how do I get credit for my accomplishments? So oftentimes we feel like our bosses or our colleagues are taking ownership for our deliverables, the situation and the circumstances. Like say, for example, you're in a meeting and somebody has taken credit for your accomplishments. Depending on your relationship with that person, you might call them out during the meeting in different ways, in subtle ways. You might also take them aside during the next meeting and have a conversation with them, a straight conversation, and request more information. Why did you do that? What is your objective right now? And really understanding, number 1, why they may have done that. And number 2, self-promoting is a practice and it's an activity. And that is across your professional journey. Highlighting your accomplishments is something that you need to do regularly and you need to note for yourself. That goes somewhere like your portfolio, your list of wins. So knowing and calling out your accomplishments is something that we should all be doing very regularly. Depending on question 3, how do I deal with microaggressions at work? Actually, I had a colleague, Enid, who I also interviewed on our last podcast, and she had called out somebody for basically saying that she talked like a white woman. So So the story is they had been conversing for quite some time. They met over a Zoom or in person, and the result was that that person thought that she was white and made a comment, "Really, I would have thought that you would have been white." Well, that is a microaggression, because the assumption is that if you are able to speak eloquently and clearly, you are therefore white. That's not at all the case, obviously. Everybody has different ways of communication and different colloquial vocabulary. That does not mean one person is more eloquent than the next. But how you deal with that is, number one, just like calling out somebody for being credited for taking your accomplishments, dealing with microaggressions at work can happen in one of two ways, and that is directly or indirectly. I would say microaggressions can be micro or they can be macro. And that means that if somebody wants to aggress upon you, they have potentially negative and ill intentions, but the level of intensity of their negativity can be pretty aggressive or it can be highly aggressive, right? So calling out something in the moment can be tricky, but if you are in a room with somebody alone, say, and you don't necessarily have other people listening, it will definitely impact how you have a conversation with that person and how you view that person. But the most important point that I want to say is that you should be standing up for yourself in different situations. This is the practice to be able to respond clearly and concisely to those microaggressions so that people stop doing them. And this is unfortunate because the onus is oftentimes on the person who's subjugated, on the woman in this example, to deal with this microaggression. Really, it should be also taught to people to not aggress upon other people and to create an environment at work that's healthy, helpful, supportive, transparent, and inclusive, so that ultimately we can work together in a way that focuses on deadlines, that focuses on results, and does not focus on sweating the small things, micromanaging others, and create an environment that's based on fear and not support and not engagement and not conversation, one that is maybe more cutthroat. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't want to support those environments. And if I ever have that situation where I feel like if there's ever a situation that microaggression is normalized in an environment, it becomes more and more toxic. So the more that you can stop that microaggression in a way that is clear, where you're drawing your boundaries, you can stop microaggressions moving forward. But I would also say that we can start to have these conversations about what is a microaggression in order that we can, number one, not aggress upon others, and number two, so that we can reduce our bias, so that we can not unintentionally microaggress upon others. Okay, so question number 4. How can I gain more visibility and opportunity at work without being pushed into a role that doesn't align with my career goals? This really goes back to having your career vision, knowing where it is that you want to go in your career, and really remembering why you got started in the first place, where your intention lies, and what motivates you. So if you're thinking about moving into a new role and that role doesn't connect with you as a person, doesn't inspire you, you really need to think twice about moving into that role. Instead, you could come at it from a place of interest, passion. Obviously, all of these do depend on where you're at financially and how that impacts your bottom line. But all of these things should be weighed in consideration to another. So, question number 5, how do I find a mentor? So, this is why I exist right now, is to create a mentorship opportunity for women who are mid-level marketeers. I'm doing this. There are so many other women coaches that are focused on women solely. So connecting with a mentor is really like connecting with a therapist. You want to ensure that your relationship is effective in order to support your growth. And connecting with somebody that you know and you trust is really a great way to find a mentor within your organization, of course. Finding a mentor and a sponsor, which are two different things. Finding a mentor is about creating relationships with senior executives or even others who are more senior than you within your company, and having their support, their approval. And sponsorship goes towards the higher level of the organization and even more support. So we will definitely talk about sponsors later. Question number 6. When does it make sense to switch companies versus staying at your current company and investing more time and energy into your role? Well, there are several factors that go into answering this question. And namely, this is your ambition and goals and the reality of how companies work. So one thing that you need to understand is companies have their own business goals and objectives, and they see you as part of their business goals and objectives in maybe one or maybe several skills. You also need to consider how quick your company is growing and the areas that your company is moving into as well. So for example, if there's just no room, there's always a way to at least initiate a conversation and get to understand where you currently are with your company. That means, are you getting favorable feedback in your current company? Are you enjoying your work? Are you having a great time? Not everything is about a promotion. So if you are loving your job, your team, your colleagues, and your take-home pay, maybe it is just a good time for you to stay. It all depends on your goals. Number 7, what is a good benchmarking tool to ensure that you are getting the value out of your role that you deserve? So I would say 3 here, and I'm absolutely sure there are many other, but there's Glassdoor, there's PayScale, and there's Comparably. Also LinkedIn, because LinkedIn will tell you how much the average pay scale is in the city that you're working at. So those websites will give you more information about pay scales in the different cities. Now, remote work has always been categorized in a slightly different way, so that's something to pay attention to on how the market is changing as well, because oftentimes remote jobs are going to be paying based on the city that they're coming from, the city that that organization is based out of. There's many different perspectives on how you can best do this, but one is that you should have quite a few examples around how much folks are paid in your industry. This, I think, has been a huge issue for women in ensuring that they're getting the salary that they deserve. Absolutely, is understanding how people are paid in various organizations. And you can even reach out to folks working in those organizations to ensure you have the right information. It is a challenge to have a conversation about salary, but if we aren't asking, we will never know. Question number 8. How can I build up more senior experience before getting promoted into an executive role like a VP or a CMO? So number 1, don't forget that you are building a strong network in order for you to understand contextually how and what you're going to be doing to becoming a senior leader. Also, taking on more responsibility at work in terms of more strategic projects. Taking on new projects at work means that you have more in your portfolio and you can see where your prospective wins are. You can also volunteer or take on committee work outside of your role. There are quite a few organizations that you can join their board of directors. You can participate in networking events and you can create your own network, which is what I did in the Women's Confidence Network in Paris, which created a 1,500 women network, and I got to lead in an organization that was just wonderful and enriching and friendship producing. And lastly, developing your leadership skills happens through research. So reading books from senior leaders and women and men alike in this realm can really help you understand contextually what the value of leadership is and how to eloquently describe why you want to be a leader, what leadership means to you, and how you would be a leader in your organization. So, ladies, thank you so much for joining me during this conversation. I cannot wait to continue the conversation. Are you in the middle of getting a promotion? I would love to have a chat with you. I would love to help us move forward, women in 2023. Let's get these promotions. Let's continue this conversation, and let's think about the amazing and epic women doing awesome things. Thank you so much for engaging. Please press that like button and follow us across our journey on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please press that like button and also subscribe to us. We are going to be having even more content on women advancing in their careers and their lives, and I cannot wait to share it with you. If you would like to join our giveaway, I would love to see you there. I will put the link below and also on our LinkedIn page. Please stay in touch with us, and I cannot wait to continue the conversation and stay epic, ladies.